Welcome to Gold Journal's football match review. I mean, imagine waiting 20 years for a single moment.
Right.
A chance at, ultimate redemption.
Oh, absolutely.
But then you realize that the only way to actually achieve it is to become the exact type of team you have spent 2 decades despising.
Yeah, it's the ultimate paradox in modern sports. I mean,
What?
You build an entire club identity around this specific philosophy, and then reality just forces you to abandon it to survive.
Exactly. And that evolutionary leap, well, that's our mission for this deep dive today. We are unpacking a truly monumental night in European football.
Huge night.
Arsenal's historic 1-0 victory over Atletico Madrid. Winning 2-1 on aggregate, they have officially booked their ticket to their second ever Champions League final.
Which is just wild to say out loud.
It really is. It marks the end of this grueling 2-decade wait for the North London club. And, just picture the anxiety in the stands right now. The ripple effects of this week alone are staggering.
Oh, for sure.
Because Arsenal is heading to Budapest on May 30th for the final, but at the exact same time, Manchester City just dropped crucial points.
Yeah, that draw against Everton at L. Dickinson Stadium.
Right, which completely rewrites the end of the season. The Premier League title race is suddenly right back in Arsenal's hands.
It changes everything. With just 3 league games and 1 Champions League game left on the calendar, this team is staring down the barrel of an ultimate double.
It's unbelievable. But to understand the sheer emotional weight of what happened against Atletico, we have to talk about the ghost haunting this club.
The 2006 final.
Yeah, under Arsene Wenger. It's a trauma that genuinely lingers over the fan base. If you talk to any fan, they remember exactly where they were.
It really does linger. Because that 2006 final against Barcelona, it wasn't just a loss. It was like a psychological wound.
Right.
You had their goalkeeper, Jens Lehmann, getting a red card incredibly early in the match. And it just completely altered the tactical landscape of the game.
Arsenal fought bravely with 10 men for so long.
They did. But then a late, heartbreaking goal from Giuliano Belletti just shattered them. They haven't been back to the summit since.
And past Arsenal teams, especially those Wenger teams, they were ideological purists,
Very much so.
They relied on beautiful, flowing, attacking football. The philosophy was basically, if we are going to win, we are going to outpass you, outmove you, and outscore you.
Pure aesthetics.
Exactly. But this current iteration under Mikel Arteta, it's evolved. They didn't outpass Atletico Madrid to reach this final. They outdefended the ultimate masters of defense.
Which is an incredibly difficult thing to do, especially against a team managed by Diego Simeone.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, Simeone's Atletico Madrid practically invented the modern defensive dark arts. So for Arsenal to beat them at their own game, it requires just a masterclass in structural discipline.
Okay, so I want to dig into those mechanics, because I hear a lot of people talking about Arsenal's tactical shift, but it's not like they just dropped their attacking flair and decided to park the bus.
No, not at all.
To me, it looks more like a classic rock band just dropping the acoustic guitars and deciding to play heavy metal. It's a totally different energy. Mm-hmm. Did Arteta really just beat Simeone by stealing his playbook?
I love that analogy, but I'd say it's more like a Trojan horse.
Okay, a Trojan horse. How so?
Well, you line up looking like a standard, flat back four defense. But once you cross the midfield line, you certainly unpack extra attackers right into the center of the pitch.
Sneaking them in.
Exactly. And it started with some incredibly brave personnel choices from Arteta. I mean, if you were managing a massive Champions League semifinal, conventional wisdom says you lean on your seasoned veterans, right?
Right, the guys whose heart rates won't spike under the pressure.
Exactly. But Arteta benches the highly established Martin Zubimendi. And instead, he starts 19-year-old academy product Miles Lewis-Skelly in the midfield.
Wait, starting a 19-year-old in the engine room against the most physically punishing midfield in Europe? That isn't just brave, that borders on tactical arrogance.
It really does.
Why leave a seasoned player like Zubimendi on the bench for a match like this?
It comes down to what a 19-year-old brings mechanically to the system. Zubimendi is brilliant at dictating a slow, methodical tempo.
Right, controlling the game.
But Lewis-Skelly, he doesn't have the muscle memory of caution yet. He brings this fearless, relentless energy that completely disrupts the opponent.
He's just everywhere.
Yeah, he covers immense ground, constantly harrying Atletico's midfielders. But he was just the engine. The structural chassis around him is what actually made it work.
Okay, break that down for me.
So Arteta deployed Ricardo Calafiori at left back and then instructed Ben White, who was playing on the right, to continuously invert.
Let me pause you right there because inverted fullback is like a term thrown around constantly on tactical blogs right now.
It's the buzzword of the decade.
It really is. But for someone who just watches the game casually, what does that actually look like on the grass? Like, what is Ben White physically doing?
Okay, so traditionally, a right back like Ben White would stay wide, right? Hugging the right touchline to provide crosses.
Just running up and down the sideline.
Exactly. But when White inverts, the moment Arsenal gets possession of the ball, he physically runs diagonally away from the sideline and tucks right into the center of the midfield.
Oh, wow.
Standing right next to someone like Lewis Skelly or Declan Rice.
So suddenly, Arsenal's midfield goes from having, 3 guys to having 4 or 5 guys packed into the center circle.
Precisely. It creates numerical superiority. Atletico wants to frustrate you by setting up a dense block of players in the middle.
Right.
But because Ben White has inverted, Arsenal simply has more bodies in that central space. They can keep the ball circulating effortlessly.
Which is exhausting for the other team to chase.
And more importantly, if Arsenal loses the ball, they are perfectly positioned to instantly counterpress.
Meaning they instantly swarm the guy who just stole the ball rather than, running backward to defend their own goal.
Exactly. Because you have all those extra bodies packed centrally, you can suffocate the opponent the second they try to start a counterattack.
That makes so much sense.
And in the final 10 minutes of the match, Arsenal used this structure flawlessly. They utilized time-wasting tactics, they choked out every passing lane, and they completely neutralized Atletico's sequences.
But, controlling the space doesn't automatically put numbers on the scoreboard. A flawless defense only gets you a 0-0 draw, and Arsenal obviously needed a goal to advance.
Right, they had to break through eventually.
So this brings us to how they actually manufactured that breakthrough. And we have to talk about Leandro Trossard, because there is just an amazing irony to his involvement here.
Oh, the whole trajectory of his Arsenal career is fascinating.
Right, because for a long time, Trossard was viewed by a lot of pundits as just a consolation prize.
Yeah, the backup option.
Exactly. Arsenal had this highly publicized bidding war for the young Ukrainian winger Mikhailo Mudryk, and they lost him to Chelsea, or, Blue Co. for those following the corporate ownership drama over there.
Which was a huge saga at the time.
It was. And Arsenal pivoted and signed Trossard for a fraction of the price. But watching this game, it really makes you realize that sometimes the backup plan, like the pragmatic choice, turns out to be the ultimate jackpot.
It is a textbook example of evaluating how a player actually fits your specific mechanics, rather than just buying into the hype and the huge price tag.
Definitely.
Trossard's footballing IQ is just off the charts, and his role in the goal sequence perfectly illustrates that. But what's interesting is that this goal didn't come from Arsenal's typical intricate 30-pass buildup.
Right, it wasn't the pretty Wenger ball.
No, it started all the way back in the defense with a long, incredibly direct line-breaking pass targeting their Swedish striker, Viktor Gyökeres.
And Gyökeres had an absolute monster of a game. I mean, it wasn't pretty, but it was so physically demanding.
He was relentless.
He was constantly running into the channels all night. And just to clarify that term for a second, when we say running the channels, we're talking about a striker sprinting into those awkward, empty pockets of space between the opposition's center backs and fullbacks, right?
Yes, exactly. And it is a grueling, thankless job. You aren't getting the ball neatly passed to your feet.
They're just chasing scraps.
Yeah, you are chasing down long bouncing balls, wrestling with rugged defenders like Jose Maria Gimenez, and just trying to make something stick.
And that physical battling is exactly what unlocked the sequence. Gyökeres chases down this long pass, manages to hold the ball up beautifully against the defender, and in doing so, he draws Atletico's legendary goalkeeper, Jan Oblak, slightly out of his position.
Which is the crucial mistake.
Right. And once Oblak commits, Gyökeres cuts the ball across the penalty box to Trossard.
And this is where Trossard's IQ shines. I mean, 90% of players in a Champions League semifinal panic in that exact moment.
Oh, they just blast it.
They lash at the ball as hard as they can. Trossard doesn't. He pauses. He waits for the absolute optimal fraction of a second to shoot.
That patience is terrifying if you're a defender.
It freezes everyone. Now, Oblak is a world-class keeper, and he actually manages to scramble and make the initial save.
Which was a great save.
It was, but Trossard's delayed shot completely scrambled Atletico's defensive line. And perfectly positioned to poach the rebound is Bukayo Saka.
Star boy, yet another product of Arsenal's Hale End Academy.
Exactly. And Saka just has this undeniable knack for finding the right space in the biggest moments.
He always shows up.
Always. With that finish, he etched his name into the history books. He became the first Arsenal player ever to score twice in a Champions League semifinal because, of course, he also scored against PSG in last year's semifinal run.
Incredible. So the Academy kids are delivering the spark up front, but we really have to acknowledge that the foundation was built by the gladiators at the back.
Oh, without a doubt.
We have to highlight Declan Rice here. He showed every single critic exactly why Arsenal paid that massive transfer fee for him.
Worth every penny in this match.
Early in the game, Atletico sends in this vicious cross meant for Giuliano Simeone. It looked like a guaranteed goal. And out of nowhere, Rice covers immense ground to make this absolutely crucial goal-saving block.
Rice's superpower is his spatial awareness. Yeah. He reads the hips of the player crossing the ball, predicts the trajectory, and senses the danger before it even materializes.
It's like he sees the future.
He really does. He wasn't just defending. He was constantly starting attacks from deep. And behind that midfield shield, you have goalkeeper David Raya, who had an incredibly quiet night.
Which is exactly what you want as a keeper.
Absolutely.
And that quiet night secured Raya his 9th Champions League clean sheet of the season, which ties the all-time record set by Edward Mendy, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And it brings his staggering total to 30 clean sheets across all competitions this season. 30 games where the opponent simply could not score.
Okay, wait, I have to stop you there. Because yes, 30 clean sheets is phenomenal. But are we really saying Arsenal's defense in this specific match against Atletico was completely flawless?
Yeah.
Because looking at the footage, I'm seeing a lot of chaos, a lot of frustration, and frankly, some incredibly lucky breaks with the refereeing. It wasn't all just brilliant positioning. There was some serious dark arts at play.
That is a very fair pushback. The execution of their structure naturally frustrated Atletico, and that frustration dragged the game into the mud.
Got so messy.
It did. And you are right. It led to highly contested refereeing decisions. We look at the mechanics of those decisions impartially. There were 3 major flashpoints that highlight a glaring structural flaw in how the modern game is officiated.
Okay, let's break them down, because the first one looked like a massive let-off for Arsenal.
It definitely was.
Yeah.
William Saliba makes a very rare, uncharacteristic error at the back, presenting Giuliano Simeone with essentially an open net.
A total.
And Arsenal's center back Gabriel clearly grabs Simeone in the penalty box to prevent him from scoring. By the letter of the law, it's a penalty, but both the on-field referee and the VAR booth wave it away.
Which sets the tone for a very lenient, highly physical game, but the second incident is where it gets highly technical.
Yes. So Calafiori blatantly pushes Simeone in the back, inside the penalty area. Again, a clear foul.
Right.
However, the linesman on the far side had already raised his flag for offside, and the referee had blown his whistle to stop play just a moment before the push occurred.
Even though Simeone later went on his Instagram and claimed he started his run from entirely within his own half, meaning he couldn't possibly have been offside.
Right. But the reality of the offside doesn't even matter here.
Really? Why?
Because the referee blew his whistle, the play was officially dead. VAR is legally not allowed to intervene on an action that happens after the whistle, regardless of how blatant the physical contact is.
Wait, so if I'm understanding the mechanics of this correctly, if the referee blows the whistle a millisecond before a foul occurs, the foul essentially happens outside of space and time as far as VAR is concerned.
Exactly. It's a structural limitation of the technology.
Yeah.
The whistle acts as an absolute wall.
That is fascinating.
Yeah.
Because it brings us to the third incident, and it feels like Arsenal realized this loophole in real time.
They absolutely did.
It was a 50-50 challenge between Gabriel and Pebble. Both players go in aggressively with high feet, but Gabriel brilliantly exaggerates the contact.
Oh, he really sold it.
He throws himself to the ground to win a defensive foul. The referee buys the exaggeration and blows the whistle. And literally a second later, Calafiori clearly fouls Antoine Griezmann in a really dangerous spot.
But once again, the whistle had already blown for Gabriel's exaggerated foul. The play was dead.
So the subsequent foul on Griezmann is completely nullified. It's like Arsenal isn't just playing the opposition. They are playing the underlying code of the refereeing system.
That's a great way to put it.
They are gamifying the structural limitations of VAR by forcing early whistles to protect themselves, using the whistle as a shield. That is a completely different level of defensive dark arts.
It's a brilliant, highly cynical adaptation to modern refereeing. And while Arsenal was exploiting the rules, Atletico Madrid was completely imploding on the touchline.
Yeah, Diego Simeone looked furious.
He's usually a master tactician, But he made some baffling decisions that just compounded all of their problems.
Let's talk about the substitutions, because taking off your best players when you desperately need a goal seems completely counterintuitive.
The most glaring error was Simeone's decision to substitute both Antoine Griezmann and Julian Alvarez at the exact same time.
Both of them, at once.
Yes, these are the two players who dictate the timing of Atletico's press and offensive transitions.
It feels like pulling the engine out of your car while you're still on the highway just because you're worried about the brakes. I mean, you might stop conceding, but you've completely eliminated your ability to move forward.
That is exactly what happened. It destroyed their rhythm. You could visibly see the resulting lack of any cohesive offensive sequences after those two left the pitch.
They just look lost.
They lost their entire shape going forward. And all of that panic and lack of structure culminated in one glaringly embarrassing missed opportunity late in the game.
Oh, you mean the cutback from the left flank by Baena?
Yes. Baena drives down the left side, cuts a perfect pass back into the center of the penalty area. It finds substitute striker Alexander Sorloth, totally unmarked, perfectly positioned.
It's on a silver platter.
It is the golden chance to save their season.
And he completely air kicks it.
Completely misses.
He just swings his leg and hits nothing but air. A glorious chance, completely whiffed. It is the kind of miss that haunts a player forever.
It was emblematic of Atletico's entire night. The structural chaos, the tactical blunders, the immense pressure of the moment, it all collapsed on that single missed swing. And the fallout from that miss, combined with everything else we've discussed, really points to vastly different futures for these two clubs. We are looking at a stark contrast between the bitter end of an era and the birth of something historic.
Let's talk about that reality, because football can be an incredibly cruel sport for individuals trapped in failing systems.
And brutally cruel.
Take Antoine Griezmann. How can a player be widely considered one of the most brilliant, underrated footballers of his generation, win a World Cup with France, become Atletico Madrid's all-time top scorer, and yet, according to all the rumors, leave for the MLS without ever winning a single Champions League or domestic league title for them?
It highlights the brutal reality of team sports. Individual brilliance doesn't automatically overcome structural failure. And if you look at Atletico's horizon right now, it is incredibly bleak.
It really is.
This Champions League exit officially marks a completely trophyless season for them. They were knocked out of the Copa del Rey early. They're currently struggling badly in La Liga. And now this.
It really feels like the walls are closing in on the Simeone era.
There is a rapidly growing sentiment among the Spanish analysts and the fan base that it might be time for a mutual parting of ways.
Really? After all he's done?
Yeah, the fans are desperate to build a new project. Simeone's heavily defensive, pragmatic style is revered when it produces trophies. It's like gritting your teeth for a reward.
Right.
But when it fails to yield results, it immediately draws heavy criticism because it is so fundamentally difficult to watch.
Meanwhile, the contrast with Arsenal is literally night and day. They aren't just winning, they are on a historic march. With this victory, they have officially tied their 1970-1971 club record of 41 wins in a single season across all competitions.
Achieving 41 wins requires a staggering level of consistency, mental fortitude, and tactical flexibility over 10 grueling months of football.
And you can feel the weight of that history setting in. There was this incredibly poignant moment captured on the pitch after the final whistle. Arsenal legend Thierry Henry, who of course was part of that legendary undefeated Invincibles team, was speaking to Bukayo Saka.
Such a great moment.
Henry looked right at the young winger and said, "We were the Invincibles, but if you secure the double, this squad could become the Unforgettables."
Oh, that gave me chills. When a club icon of Henry's magnitude passes the torch using language like that, it elevates the entire achievement.
It really does.
It stops being just a good season and transforms into destiny. It gives the players this immense psychological boost, and you could physically feel that destiny vibrating in the stands at the Emirates Stadium.
The atmosphere looked terrifying for an away team. I saw the phrase "over the land and sea" tifo thrown around a lot on social media. For someone who hasn't been in a European stadium on a night like that, what are we actually looking at?
So a tifo is a massive, highly choreographed visual display unfurled by the fans right before kickoff.
Like a giant banner.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In this case, it was a colossal banner that covered an entire stand behind the goal. It takes weeks for the supporter groups to paint. It requires thousands of fans to hold up colored cards in perfect unison.
That's incredible dedication.
It is, and it creates this sheer, towering wall of intimidation before a single ball is even kicked. The noise they generated replicated the fiercest atmospheres of Europe's most historic stadiums.
They truly made the Emirates an absolute fortress. They backed their team's evolution, and it paid off with the ticket to Budapest.
They earned it.
So, as you watch this incredible season race toward its conclusion, I want to leave you with this final thought to mull over. We've just watched an ideologically pure attacking team like Arsenal intentionally evolve to win ugly.
They definitely got their hands dirty.
They gamified the rules, they inverted their structure, and they out-defended the ultimate defensive masters in Atletico Madrid. Does this mean the era of pure, rigid football philosophies is officially dead? In the modern, hyper-analyzed game, do you simply have to be a tactical chameleon to survive and win the biggest trophies? Thank you. See you soon with upcoming matches.